Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Mason County, West Virginia. But before that, this video is brought to you by Matthew Young and Soul Farmer. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Mason County, West Virginia map can be found over at fatherfarmersitch.io, and I will leave a link to that down in the description below. This is a 4X map, and since it's not released over at the Giants Mod Hub, this is going to be available for PC players only. Let me read you some of the description. This is Mason County, West Virginia. Wild and wonderful. This is my first map, so there might be some updates that get released, and I do say that if you don't start on this map now, definitely keep it on your watch list. I would wait for an update because there are some issues in the log, and I'm going to talk about those a little bit later in the video that may or may not affect gameplay. I don't know. I'm not a mapper, so I'm not really sure what those log messages mean. Just know that there are some warnings and some errors in the log, and hopefully we'll see those get cleared up in a future update. This map hosts a 1,000 head cattle farm, a large sheep goat barn, and a large chicken farm capable of holding 5,000 chickens. It also has several large areas for logging, and all logs are able to be cut and run by buncher and processors. One area in particular is 1,000 acres and has many terrain changes to test your logging skills. Once you reach the top, you'll find the logging base, or you can take the ferry across the river and farm or log the other side. There is a grain elevator, sawmill, carpentry, spinnery, tailor, restaurant, BGA, canned good factory, and a warehouse. Now, if you've never downloaded anything here at itch.io, it's a pretty straightforward process. We're going to click on the Download Now button. We're going to be taken to a page where we could, if we wished, include a Goodwill donation to the map author. But for this video, we're going to say, no thanks, just take me to the downloads. And once we go there, we're going to be able to click Download here. It's going to download the map, and this map is 744 megabytes in size. This map does not have any required mods listed, and I do note that he is working on an update, so hopefully he'll see this video and be able to work in the fixes for the messages that I do have that I'm going to show you in the log. But overall, I have to say, this is a really nice map. I like the layout, I like the river valley, I like the mountainous areas. This is definitely akin to West Virginia if you've ever been there. I've got family there. We go back multiple times per year, and I have to say, I think he's hit it right spot on with farming down here by the river, and then nice mountainy, hilly terrain, pretty densely forest, and he's done a pretty good job with the forest, giving him some general constraints on overall performance and gameplay for all platforms, or should I say, all types of PC systems, not all platforms. Let's jump back over here to the map. Take a look at the PDA, which we were kind of already talking about. You can see that we got these huge sections of forest. In fact, farmland ID 48 is 1,061 acres in size. Plenty of trees there, $257,000 to buy. Pretty cheap land here in West Virginia. And then the entirety of the east side of the map is going to be available for sale. It's going to be 771 acres, mostly forestry, right here along the river, and a decent sized field for $188,000. But we start owning farmland ID 1 and 2. Farmland ID 1 is 18.38 acres and it's $4,432 to buy, and farmland ID 2 is 14 acres and it's just $3,400 to buy. If you do load this map up by selecting that you do not want to own the starting farm, do note that all the farms are pre-built on the map. All the starting machinery is also available regardless of play mode, or selecting if you own or do not own the starting farm. And kind of as we can see from these watermarks, that this is a real-to-life satellite image of a West Virginia river valley. Got a little bit of a hydro dam down here, I do believe, which is good to see. This map also does have a ferry, so you'll be able to take the ferry across the river. We do have all the standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 25 on this particular map. And if we take a look at our soil map, you will see that this is the standard generic soil map that does come with the precision farming mod. You see, we've got a nice mix of loam and sandy loam and silty clay here. Down to the south, field 34. It's got a mix of all four soil types. I would like to have maybe seen a custom soil map here where the land right close to the river is basically going to be silty clay, and maybe as you move further and further inland, you move into your loam and maybe sandy loam as you basically come up here to more of the highland areas. And then this is a whole plateau area up above the river valley. With respect to our crop counter, we do have the standard base game crop counter available to us on this map. And as far as animals, with the starting farm, we start out by owning 200 sheep in our sheep pen. We don't have any feed here other than the meadow grass, so you will probably want to start working on getting these sheep well fed so you can maintain their productivity. With respect to contracts, we do have contracts available on this map, including the new contracts like wood transport. We do have several productions available on the map. In fact, we have 6. We've got the BGA, we have a canning factory, we have a carpentry, we have a sawmill, spinnery, and tailor shop. And hopefully he can fix these icons so they appear here like we're expecting. We do not own any productions at the start either. With respect to our prices, I counted up 4 different sell points. So not a whole lot of sell points scattered around the map, but we do have about 4 along the river valley. And we do also have the Husqvarna 550 XP chainsaw in our starting machinery. Now, while the statistics show that we have 25 collectibles, there are not actually any collectibles available on the map. I do believe that this issue is related to the collectibles XML still existing in the map file, but the actual collectibles not being actually placed in the map itself. If we jump back here and take a look at our starting fleet, regardless if we own the farm or not, we do start out with this machinery. Like I said, we've got our International Series 200 pickup truck. We've got the John Deere 6R185 medium tractor. We've got the Mack Superliner 6x4 semi and the John Deere 7R350 large tractor. We have universal bucket, pallet fork, and bale spike for our front loader arms. They are the 663R4 John Deere. We have the J&M X10 Reach 1112 auger wagon, as well as the Load King Distinction triple hopper semi-trailer. We have the Lemken 9840 cultivator. We also have our Horsch Mestiro 975 RX planter. We have the Partner 1600 FT seed hopper or fertilized hopper for that planter. And we have our Great Plains solid stand 1500 seeder. For our harvester, we have the Axle Flow 7150 from Case IH. We've got the Nardi N6035 header trailer. And oddly enough, we have the 4418 in corn header as our starting machinery. It's kind of odd because typically we have the grain header as opposed to the corn header. We wrap it all up with a 900 kilogram John Deere front weight. This map does not have any custom vehicles or implements included. Now, with that said, I do want to pull up the log and let's get somewhere where we have a nice bit of contrast. And I want to scroll up and talk to you about the warnings and errors that the map has as of the version that I downloaded to do this recording. First thing we're going to come to is, I don't know if the map is supposed to have compost production, but there's some warnings related to compost productions not being defined in the store items. And then there's several errors related to Field Manager. And this is what I don't really know if this is going to adversely affect in any way gameplay. So, for example, we have a message here like there already exists Field 31 on Farmland ID 31. Field 35 with center on Farmland ID 19 touches Farmland ID 20 with 1 pixel, and Field 36 with center on Farmland 21 touches Farmland 22 with 31 pixels. There already exists Field 38 on Farmland ID 28. So I would venture to guess that this may not affect your overall gameplay, but you may find sections of the fields that just won't harvest if you don't own the area or the field that they adjoining and touch. So hopefully these will get straightened out because there's a fair bit of entries here as errors. And then if we scroll up, we've got some more warnings that are popping here, mostly related to textures of wooden beams on a bridge. So if there's a bridge on the map, we might not see the right textures, or if there isn't a bridge on the map, then maybe there's some references in the map file itself that just need to be taken out. So I don't know how much that is going to overall affect your gameplay, but it is something that I wanted to point out, and possibly a reason to hold off a few days or a week and see if the map author can get those cleared up and update the map on his itch.io page. Coming back here to the PDA, the other farms that we have available, we have a chicken farm at Farmland ID 44, and we can buy that for $27,534. We have a large cow farm at Farmland ID 27, and we can buy that for $17,000. We've already talked about our farm here at Farmland ID 1 and 2. Just to the south of our farm, we have Farmland ID 30. I'm going to say that this is an arable farm. We basically have a farmhouse and a deco shed, and then we've got a fair bit of area where we could build other things, and a decently sized field, 55 acres in size at $13,506. We also have right across the street from us another viable farm that does include a farmhouse. I'm going to call this, again, arable. It's going to be Farmland ID 49 right here, and it's going to be $4,367 to buy. Then up here by our cows, we have Farmland ID 42, and Farmland ID 42 is going to be available with respect to horses. Sorry, I had my directions mixed up. The horses are actually down here by the chickens, Farmland ID 42. So $6,032 for that. I've gone ahead and bought all of the different farms that I just mentioned. That way, when we go and visit those, we'll see all the buildings and all the triggers as one would expect. Now, with respect to our starting farm, right, we got our farmhouse. We got Ben just hanging out here. Our pickup truck. And then just down the lane here, we're going to find the rest of our farm machinery. I will say that overall, we can pretty much sell everything here on the starting farm, with the exception of the silo. For whatever reason, the farm silo on this farm is not sellable, but I have found on other farms on the map, the silo is sellable. So we've got a nice easy shed here for easy access to our machinery. We have our silo. Another easy shed, we have a fuel point and a maintenance trigger. Got a nice barn that looks to be reskinned here. And then we have our large sheep pasture. This sheep pasture is going to be able to hold 284 sheep, of which we have 200 at the start. We have our food here on the side, and we have our wool or milk spawn point over here as well. Now, I mentioned that, like, right across the street, we had another farmhouse and a bit of an arable area. So this is going to be Walter's house. And we do have some sheds here in this little valley. We make our way north. Here's Farmland ID 2 that we also own. Here we have Farmland ID 49, which I said had a farmhouse. That's going to be this trailer. We do have a bit of land down here, but we could clear the trees away and set up some sort of farm there. And I want to go up onto this plateau. And up here, we're going to find the horses and the chicken farm. We also have this nice kind of clearing here, so we could build out another little farm up here just by farmland ID 40. This shed can be sold if we want to. The shed across the street from the horses, again, can be sold if we own the land. Here we have our horses. This will be able to hold 16 total horses, of which we have 6 at the start if we own this land. Then we have our food there. Continuing along the road, we're going to come over here to our large industrial chicken farm. And we have a lime silo. We have a crop silo. This silo I could sell, but the container next to it, I couldn't. And then we have 5 different chicken areas. Each is set up the same. We have our eggs on the side. We have our delivery point. We have our animal point. And 1,333 chickens in each. And each has 250 chickens pre-placed. If you do sell all these chickens, then you will also be able to sell all of these if you want to convert this into something else. We have a nice machine shed over here with a fuel tank. And let's get a little bit of altitude and just take a look at the terrain here as we make our way over to the river. Like I said, I feel like the map author has done an absolutely outstanding job in imagining West Virginia, imagining the river valley and the mountainous areas. We're just going to skip over all these for now and make our way across the river. Here we have field 34. This is where we have our ferry crossing. And we could make a go of it across the ferry, across the river as well, building out our own farm. And we'd have all of this mountainous and forested region to clear away and do whatever we wanted with. And again, land here is pretty darn cheap. Now, as far as performance, I found this map performed pretty darn good on a low-end system. On my test system, which uses AMD integrated graphics, specifically the 780M chipset, which is the same chipset that you're going to find in popular handhelds like the Ally X or the MSI, or no, the Legion Go. Okay? I was seeing frames in the mid to upper 30s and 40s overall with my recommended custom medium settings, which does include FSR frame gen. That equated out to frames kind of in the 75 to 80 FPS or greater. We've got our farmer's market here. We have another lime silo. And then we have the large cow farm located right here. We do have a pull-through silage bunker. We have a manure pit. A shed for machinery storage or bale storage. Another large machine shed there with our fuel tank. Slurry. Of course, our food is going to be inside. And then this will be able to hold 1,608 cows, of which we have 250 if we own this land. There we have our milk trigger. And then we have this huge farmland ID 48, which is going to be 1,000+ acres of woodland. Here at the top, we have what the map author described as the logging base. And then we have all of this rolling mountainous area with some access roads, some valleys cut through here, the fog just kind of laying down here in the valleys. For your forestry desires. Now let's make our way back over here to the starting farm. And from here, we're going to venture up and down kind of the river valley. So we have our starting farm here, what I'm calling another arable farm directly to the south at farmland ID 30, which does include this farmhouse, this small outbuilding, and then we've got a fair bit of land here along the road, and then the large field. Right here, we've got the road that makes our way up into the plateau region. And then down here, we do have a sell point. Continue along the road. We have our warehouse where we can buy goods or sell goods. We have a sell point in the dairy right here along the river. Now, it would have been nice to have seen some large ships going up and down the river. Not so much container ships, but just some large ship traffic. That would have been kind of neat. We have our production in our canning factory down here, and we're right here along the map's edge. So let's make our way back up. We have our biogas plant located right here. There's no silage bunkers here, so you will need to place your own or just bring your silage. We have our ferry crossing to go across the river. Very nice farmland here. Fields should be very easily merged together as well if you are into merging fields. North of our farm, a little bit of residential. We have that trailer farmhouse that I mentioned. Here we have our sawmill, or our carpentry, I should say. So we have our dump point, we have our wood cell trigger there, we have our interactive icon and our pallet point. Here we have a grain elevator. So our main sell point for our grain. And then we have a tailor right here. Our vehicle dealer just south of the cow farm. So we have our dealer trigger. Let's go ahead and pick up a vehicle, just see where our vehicles spawn. Yep. They spawn across the street. Okay. So a pretty large area for our new vehicles to spawn across the street. Very easy access to the road. Nothing really interfering us here. And everything is pretty far out from the road's edge. So again, we shouldn't have any issue whatsoever in transporting big machinery around the map. Maybe our biggest issue might be getting up into the plateau area where the horses and chickens are located. Across the street from the cow area, we then have our sawmill. Located right here. So we have our wood cell trigger there. We have our log pond to deposit our logs. We have our pallet spawn point here where Noah's hanging out. And inside we have our interactive icon. And that, folks, is Mason County, West Virginia. Now, I'd like to know your all's thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. Have you been in West Virginia? Do you live in West Virginia? What do you think? How does this portray the area? I feel it does a pretty good job myself, but I'd like to hear others' thoughts. Are you going to maybe give this map a go? Again, I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would, though, suggest maybe waiting a week or so for the map to hopefully get updated and clear out some of those warnings and errors. The biggest ones that concern me are the ones related to the farmland. I just don't know how that is ultimately going to affect your overall gameplay on those affected farmlands and fields. Until next time, happy farming.